Yo! What up, world? It's time for the waiver wire. Week 4 coming on in. So, rankings videos will start to come out tomorrow morning, so check that out. Running backs. Then we got wide receivers in the evening. And quarterbacks, tight ends up next after that. Sorry, just making sure we're live here. All right, so what we know, what kind of world we living in, stopped on in, says you do not talk about Fight Club. So far, The Matrix with a third of the vote, Fight Club with half the vote, Toy Story 2 getting in there with a vote, look at that. Trey Benson to the moon, heck yes. So Jesse B, what's up? I have David Montgomery. Should I trade Montgomery for Chase Brown? Straight up, I also have Jamar. Oh. Yes, you should. You know, no guarantee that it ends up working out. But technically, I would say I would still draft Chase Brown ahead of Montgomery. I don't love having Chase Brown and Jamar Chase, though, is kind of the problem. So, I don't know. Hopefully JCM will get better throughout the season. Pollard might have a decent week this week. Well, I mean, Pollard's been fine. He's been fine. You just don't want him to be your RB1. Yeah, once again, technically, yes. I mean, Chase Brown did get 10 targets. And, most of the rushing work. Doesn't look good for Chase. I would keep Monty, says what kind of world. Yeah, it's far from a guarantee. That's a for sure thing. Rest of season question. Rank these 3, please. Krosky, Charbonnet. I would go Benson. I gotta go. Who would I draft? Charbonnet or Bill? What up, Metro? How you doing? They both have a path to more upside. Bill's just got less in front of him. I mean, it's kind of like a back-to-back between Bill and Charbonnet. So I would go Benson, though, clearly ahead of him, and then Bill, and then Charbonnet. Is Chase Brown going to get better? They had all off season to try to improve the run game, to use him better. I don't like how they rush him between the tackles a lot, and that's just not his best thing. He's kind of a scat back-ish kind of guy, so I don't love that they just send him up through the tackles a whole lot. And I don't know that that's going to change. I don't know that the offensive line will get a whole lot better. There's at least a left tackle who's, pretty good and could improve. And so maybe that could help things go along as he gets better. He's in his second year now. It should be better than last week most of the time, but I don't know how much better. And we're definitely not going to get what we drafted, how much draft capital we spent for Chase Brown. Not going to happen. CC, hello CC, how are you doing? Should I trust Chase Brown this week or bench him for Judkins? Probably bench him for Judkins. Is that how I have it ranked? Let's go check out the running back rankings. Yeah, bench him for Judkins. Judkins is probably a stud. I suck at drawing. Who would you start 3 half PPR? All right, let's try to, for the most part, keep the questions more to waiver wire trade type stuff. I stream Thursday, Sunday morning for start sit. It's early on in this week for rankings and everything. Justin Jefferson, Emeka Egbuka, Lad McConkey, George Pickens. Justin Jefferson, Lad McConkey, and George Pickens is currently how I have it ranked. I'm not as excited about George Pickens as I want to be. I would have liked to see last week go a little bit better once he got that, that role all to himself. And I don't know that it's going to get a whole lot better. Metro got a waiver going. I'm buying into the Tucker hype. I like Trey Tucker. I mean, he's definitely probably not gonna do that again. He had a couple of big games last year too. You know, he's explosive. He has the ability to make some good plays. So you know, we'll see. I know he's gonna suck once I waste my waiver. Yeah, I mean, don't expect that, but he's on the field all the time so far. They haven't, you know, it seems like that's probably going to stay the same. It seems like rookie Jack Besh is probably just their Jacoby Myers replacement for the future. So he gets, you know, plenty of opportunity as far as being on the field. Isaac Droin, star 2, Chase Brown, Bill, Travion, Omarion, and Achane. That's kind of an easy one for me there. What kind of world? I have Krosky and Charbonnet and a high waiver, so I'm not sure which one to drop for trade. Travion Henderson? I wouldn't drop either of them for Trey. Would you pick up Keenan Allen or Trey Benson? Oh, Quinshon. Full PPR, Trey Benson, otherwise Quinshon Judkins. Calvin Ridley. I would hold on to Travion Henderson. You could go like Trey Benson over Henderson, I suppose. I mean, yeah, I suppose you could go Benson and Quinshon for Travion and Ridley. Cam Scatterboo, Tracy's going to be back at some point. And Tracy's not going to go all the way away, almost no matter how well Cam Scatterboo performs. But we'll see. We'll see. It's going to be hard to perform so well with that offensive line in New York with a rookie quarterback, you know, too, that they just can't go bring Tracy back at all. Metro PPR got a trade request, still pending. So you would get CD, which is going to be gone for at least 3 weeks, probably. Keenan Allen and Bucky. You're going to give up Nico, KW3, and Charbonnet. I think that's a good long-term trade. If you're 0-3, I'm probably not making the trade. If I'm 3-0, I like the trade. Yeah. Because obviously for now, you know, giving up Nico for CD is going to be 3 potential losses, you know, type of deal in terms of that. But Bucky makes up definitely better than KW3 and Charbonnet, at least for as long as those two are healthy, and even when one of them's not healthy, probably. And then, you know, you got Keenan Allen, who I would say definitely better than Charbonnet, especially in PPR, you know. What kind of world are we living in? Benson is a response, I think, for I suck at drawings question. Thank you very much. Don't forget to like the stream, guys. 1 and 2. I still don't necessarily mind it. Kind of depending on your roster a little bit. You know, you seem to think that you can get away with not having CD. Just know, you know, it's going to be like a 3-week minimum. Week 4 when he comes back, if he comes back week 4, might be a little bit limited there. So, you know, some concerns there. So on the screen, I have Fantasy Pros, you know, their waiver wires on the quarterback, their waiver wire rankings based on the whoever it is in-house that they have ranking them. It's just the consensus of that ranking. iDub. Good evening, iDub. How you doing? So, for quarterback, Matt Stafford's at the top of the list. I think that's probably because of the matchup this week. He is, I think, maybe my love of the week at quarterback. I can't quite recall. I like Geno Smith plenty as well, so it makes sense that those are up there. Sam Darnold, same story. Tua ahead of Jackson Dart. I might take the chance on Dart over Tua. And in general, you know, obviously Dart's more like somebody you're not starting immediately, whereas these guys are. But long-term upside, yeah, it's right in there. And then Marcus Mariota, Carson Wentz, Kirk Cousins. Okay. Love Jackson Dart. Yeah, same. I like him a lot. He's got he has it factor, that's for sure. He's got, I would say, like, kind of on the same level as the name keeps escaping my head. I have it. I'm about Baker Mayfield. He has kind of that like Baker Mayfield like attitude. Let's see. You've got Tet and Waddle, so I should be good. Well, good's a strong in terms of Waddle. Good's a strong expectation, but you would be getting Keenan Allen too. So you would have Tet and Keenan Allen and Waddle at this point, I would say. Even got Waddle in case he pops with my boy Dart. Waddle won't be getting... What? Dart won't be throwing to Waddle. What kind of world? Finalized a big trade. Got Jefferson and Debo for Ibuka and DK. I feel good about that. I would say generally probably should. He's the Evans owner, and maybe that was the reason for him. He's clearly frustrated and doesn't see... I mean, I don't know how good or bad Jefferson will be, but I think what we've gotten so far is probably what we're going to get. I don't think it'll get a whole lot better. And I don't mind getting rid of Ibuka and DK. I like Debo this week. I don't know that he'll be as good as he's been so far on the season going forward, but, it's a good week for him. Probably. All right, for the running back waiver wires this week, obviously, if Trey Benson is available, which he sure as hell shouldn't be, but go get him. He is, by far and away, probably the best waiver wire option that there will be all season. Like, if it's a fab thing, spend money on it. Braylon Allen's in second up on this list. I wonder exactly why that is. Maybe it's because of who else is here, but I wouldn't necessarily... So, Ollie Gordon, Braylon Allen, definitely see on the same tier. Blake Corum, I think, is probably a stronger backup to have than either one of them, however. So I would kind of put Blake Corum ahead of them-ish. And Woody Marks also has more, well, not more upside. Woody Marks is in that same tier with maybe just like a little bit, the door for him is more open. Obviously Ollie needs an injury, but he might have some sort of, low chance of usage of hitting if you have to play him throughout bye weeks and stuff. Whereas Woody Marks could become the starter. So I would say Woody Marks would be probably my number 2, like Corum 3, and then Allen, Ollie, Tyler Algier. These guys should be rostered. Chris Rodriguez, I just don't know what to think of him. Tyjae Spears should definitely be on rosters. But, it's a shared situation. So he would still be behind in that Braylon Allen, Ollie Gordon tier. And probably behind them all because it's Tennessee's offense, and that hasn't been good. Although that offense might have more upside than by the end of the season than like even Miami. Maybe. Kyle Mananga, Jerry McNichols down there. Can't disagree with that. IDub, tiny dynasty trade. Give Chubb, get Brian Robinson. Yeah, I don't see why not. Contending but don't need Chubb. Yeah. Hard to turn the page on Chubb, though. Well, at least you got all the good years from him. Is Jay Jetta worth possibly shipping Nico and Kenneth Charbonnet? I would not trade Nico straight up for Jay Jetta, I don't think. I think I still see more upside for Nico season long than Justin Jefferson based on what we've seen so far from that offense, which is a very small sample size. And so I wouldn't want to get rid of Ken and Nico for him personally. Tootin should be on this list. He must not have. He must be owned enough on whatever percentage. But yeah, Tootin would be in that same like Woody Marks category. So like ahead of Braylon Allen, Ollie Gordon by a little bit, just because the actual path to him becoming the starter is a little bit more clear. Well, quite a bit more clear, probably. No guarantees, ever. On to the wide receivers. Alec Ironman are at the top of this list. Can't really disagree with that. Definitely been touchdown reliant, and, that Tennessee offense, maybe not one that I care to get, but I don't know. He might be the best wide receiver in it. Ugh. Calvin Ridley. The 1 year I buy into him. Well, I didn't buy him into other years, and it didn't hurt me not buying into him, but I bought into him finally. Ain't going so well. Darnell Mooney, I would probably put above. Man, that offense. Above Alec Iomanner myself. Pretty close there. Luther Burden. I don't think I would have Luther Burden this high on the list. I just don't think he'll ever be somebody that you could put in there and rely on, whereas like Troy Franklin, Christian Kirk, I think those could be guys who you'd have a relative comfort level of playing, especially throughout bye weeks and everything. But I guess maybe Luther Burden has a little bit more upside. Romeo Doubs is always just somebody you could put in and play and hope for the best. There's never any kind of guarantee. I think Tyquan Thornton's interesting with how vertical he's gotten, but obviously as they get their other weapons, I wonder how much that will stay the same or not. I mean, I think he remains as their deep threat weapon over even Xavier Worthy. But then they'll have two guys who can go deep. Trey Tucker, great week. On the field a lot. I'd put him in the same tier. I'd still probably have him ahead of Luther Burden, maybe. Torrey Horton's a guy who I have pretty high myself personally. We've seen only one of the 3 weeks so far. Cooper Kupp's been really of any matter, and he's an upside guy. I think there is a definite role where he could get more target share as the season goes along, as he improves and be like I think he could be a league winner at the end of the season, which I don't quite think for really anybody else. So he's kind of at the top of my list of guys that I want, but it depends on exactly what you need. If you need somebody for now, he's not quite at the top of that list. Dontavian Wicks, I would actually keep ranking ahead of Romeo Doubs. So for now, I kind of like him more. Isaac Tesla is kind of in that Torrey Horton thing, but obviously, there's receivers. There's guys who catch balls in Detroit that are going to prevent him from ever becoming that league winner without injury going on. All right. I want to stash by, but I have so many running backs that are just barely too good to let hit the wire. Yeah, Metro, I know that problem, but that means that you got guys who could become something. The reason that they're too good to hit the wire is because they could be very valuable. Metro, do you have my team? My running backs are Henry, Ken Walker, Judkins, JCM, Pacheco, and Charbonnet. I wouldn't really mind letting go of Pacheco for... yeah. Obviously for Trey Benson. I don't think you can trade Pacheco for anything. You could include Pacheco in a trade along with something else as basically a free piece to just help upgrade, a wide receiver a little bit. Something like that. But yeah, I mean, it's tough to, what if Kareem Hunt gets injured? Then it's all Pacheco, and then he's at least on the level of a Nick Chubb, which is somebody you can play. It probably won't go very well, and it might go kind of poorly. What kind of world? CMC, Hampton, Krosky, Sharp, Judkins, Scadaboo. Let's see, that's better than... none of those guys should be on a waiver wire, so... that's good. Wide receivers are Nico, Tat, Waddle, Hollywood, Judy, and Wandale. I told you not to bother with Wandale. We'll see. It is full PPR. Benson got drafted in the 14th round of my draft. Well, yeah. He's just going around with those guys. If James Conner's not hurt, he's still, It's just what happens. Guys get injured, guys you take late, or find on a waiver wire, become good. Ram Faithful, what is up? How are you doing, brother? Lost Burrow, picked up Dak, but with no CD. Yeah, thinking of Danny Dimes or Purdy. I like Purdy. Who is getting Demarcus Robinson and Ayuk soon? Well, I don't think Demarcus Robinson and Ayuk are going to matter, but I would go with Purdy myself. I don't like the matchup for Danny Dimes against the Rams this week. Of course, he keeps doing it, but it's another test. I'm not fully bought in yet. Maybe I will be after this week. I don't know. But yeah, I like Purdy over Dak this week. And just in general, well, not like once they're fully healthy, it's pretty much a tit for tat. Like, I think they're pretty equal when both of them are healthy and have a healthy group of receivers to throw to. But I like Purdy. Matrix, by the way. The Matrix, taking the lead. Yeah, so last Thursday I did one fight. The Matrix won that one, and then on Sunday we got a lot of votes, and Fight Club won that one, I think is how it went. And then I just threw two others in there from 1999. Toy Story 2 actually doing really good. I don't care for Toy Story 2. Is there something wrong with me? I think it has a 100% rating on Rotten Tomatoes. And for some reason, I love Toy Story. I still have to watch 4. I think 3 is good enough. Not really like, I was too old. Like, I don't need to rewatch it or anything like that. But for some reason, 2 just like drags on for me. There's not much memorable about it for me. I don't know what. Maybe I gotta rewatch it someday. What kind of world? Neighbors, Sutton, Keenan, Travis Hunter, and Worthy on IR. Hey, not a bad top 3. I lost out on Troy and Scattaboo last week, so I got Wandale for Calvin Austin. Okay. Lost out on Troy. Why is Troy not hitting me with who that is? Yeah, it would have been nice to get Scattaboo last week, huh, Metro? Darn. By the way, what to do with Hunter? Probably all year on my bench. Through the bye weeks, injuries and stuff. He's getting more targets than some people. Where's he at on the targets? How low are you? There we go. Yeah, he's getting the same amount of targets as Diggs, Cooper Kupp, Dontavian Wicks. More than Jameson Williams, more than T. Higgins. Not too far off of Marvin Harrison Jr. Not that these are amazing names. About the same as DJ Moore, who went, I guess, a little bit higher. I guess not a whole lot higher. Not too far off from DK Metcalf. Jalen Waddle. It's not the end of the world yet for him. Because he got drafted so high. But there's a chance he could end up playing a little bit more on offense again. I believe one of their defensive backs is getting healthier, I think, this week. And that injury happened in week 1. And so I think that was part of the reason, potentially, that they put him on defense. I will say, I thought he was a better cornerback than wide receiver as far as a prospect. And I think he looked pretty sticky out there last week. I was watching a short cut up of his work, and he's sticking with Nico on some routes. Okay. Toy Story. Troy Franklin. Yeah, I probably would still rather Troy Franklin than Wandale myself. But, they're obviously just kind of long shot types of deals. But I think Troy has more, like, Wandale, we kind of know what he is, although they're using him a little bit differently now, which is how you could get one of those pop games like we had the other day. But that was also against Dallas. And Dallas has made some teams look pretty good so far this season. Yeah, the scat man. What kind of world? I hope he has a big game whenever I need him. Well, you're asking for a lot. Michael Burgos, what is up, my man? How's the pumping of the iron going? Stop by to show some love. I appreciate it. Just drop a like. It helps. You know that. I appreciate you, man. What are you, third now? Still hanging on the top of the listeners, near the top of the listeners league, right? Finally got AJ Brown to contribute. TS, drop Green Bay for Vikings or Lions this week? Isn't Green Bay playing Dallas without CD? So generally speaking, I'd like to keep Green Bay's defense. For Minnesota at Pittsburgh, I mean, yeah, that's probably a pretty good bet for a pick. And some sacks, probably too. Detroit against Cleveland. I mean, probably not like a worst pick for a pick from Flacco. I think I like Minnesota the most out of the group myself. Probably where I'd go. But I don't know that it's like, what's the projection? 7.2 compared to 7.4. Like, it's such a luck of the draw thing. I just like having good defenses, and I think that Green Bay's defense is the best of the bunch, so I would personally just want to hold on to Green Bay's defense myself. But if you're going for best this week, personally, I liked the Vikings the most out of that bunch. I dropped Scat after week 1 because that offense looks so bad. Oh no, TS. No, you don't drop the Scataboo. Ugh. I actually was really, really, impressed with how much they used him week 1. Because he had been injured and not involved all offseason. I was like, holy cow, they used him that much already? That's a good sign for him. Shadow XYZ, is Jefferson for Devonta, Brees, and Genty worth it? Yes. Like, you get Devonta, Brees, and Genty? Yes. I mean, you're going to have to drop some people, I assume, but yes. All day. There's a chance Devonta is, better than Jefferson this year. But probably, close to each other. And then I can't say I would draft Brees ahead of Jefferson or Genty, of course, but yes, take all 3 of them. Do you like trading Drake May and Ken Walker for Benson and Daniels? Sure. Jaden Daniels is better than Drake May, and Trey Benson might be better than Ken Walker rest of the season. Yeah, Colin, I would take Benson and Jaden Daniels. And that sounds like that's what you're going to do. Yes, I like that. Gosh, I gotta, try throwing trades out there more in this. I got one team that's just stacked at running back. I'm gonna sit Quinshon Judkins this week, probably at least. It's that or I sit Judkins or Jordan Mason or Hampton or Achan. I think are the 3 starters in that league. Ugh. Doesn't mean I'm doing well in fantasy so far this year. But I got some running backs, baby. It's been injury after injury for me. Killing me. It took CeeDee Lamb getting 0 points. If he just caught a ball, I win. And Rashad Bateman having a massive game, for Bateman at least, but having a big game. 15 plus points. In order for me to lose. Ugh. Tyler Luke gave me exactly what I needed to win yesterday. 101.6. He won by 0.24? Dang. Yeah, he did. I think it never was this close in 13 years of fantasy. Yeah, that's awesome. I lost a couple of close games because of injuries. Josh Reed, would you trade Breece Hall for Michael Pittman? I would take Breece Hall over Pittman. Nino Pena, thanks for the question, but I would not trade away Breece Hall for Michael Pittman, no. Thoughts on Neighbors now with Dart? Oh, so much more excited. Teams will not be able to just do what happened last week and just shut Neighbors down like completely, easily at least. Because of how the Russell Wilson offense goes, it's just kind of like send man deep. And it's really easy to bracket a guy when that's all they're doing. But with the Dart offense, they're going to be doing like RPO stuff, and Neighbors is going to be the first read, and it's about getting the ball out quickly. And so Neighbors is going to be used a lot more versatilely, a lot better, especially for his skill set. Like, he's really good at everything, really. But more than just going deep. And so I would say, obviously what you got week 2 was just one of those crazy games. You can't really ever expect that. But I think the floor has been risen. I moved him up in my rankings this week with the Dart news. I had him back at like 16, 17, 18, 19, somewhere barely top 20 basically, and kind of wanted to go even lower because I figured this was another matchup where he could just be bracketed. But Dart, I like it. Nino, also crazy to use number 1 priority on Fields. Yeah, I mean, I think so because you've seen how it goes. You could get a 3.4 point game or a 30-point game, but you're going to get both. And some of them are going to lose you weeks. Like, from a quarterback, that's massive to have that low of a game. That's pretty close to a death knell. So, like, he's one of the few quarterbacks that I think can actually lose you games semi-consistently. But he also has a huge ceiling. But I would not use the number 1 priority on Fields. I would wait for, who am I trying to think of? Like Blake Corum, if Kyron Williams goes down and Blake Corum's still available. Like, I want to use it on that, or Braylon Allen if he's available at that point in time. I don't want to use it on a quarterback that's... No, I don't, personally. Shadow, originally offered them CMC, Devonta, and Genty, but they don't want to give up CMC, but they also have Lamar and Henry. Is Jefferson for Devonta, Breece, and Genty worth it? Yeah, I mean, you can't give up CMC and other assets to get Jefferson. You're offering... No, originally offered them CMC. Yeah, okay. No, I still think you're good. I would not expect to get Lamar. And Derrick Henry... honestly, I don't mind having Breece and Genty over Henry, necessarily. Not that I'm low on Henry. I have Nix and Goff. Do I pick up Daniel Jones? And if so, who do I drop? I mean, I don't think so. You could pick up... I would... Goff? I'm curious what their rest of season rankings have for those quarterbacks. Is Bo Nix or Goff higher? Yeah, I got Goff higher than Nix. So Jared Goff has a terrible playoff schedule, apparently, according to this. And Bo Nix's is better. Bo Nix's schedule is better in general than Goff's. It hasn't been great for Nix, but I do think this could be like a good right weekish thing going on. I would drop... I think I would drop Bo Nix, but I would be looking at the schedules and just seeing, like, for the next 4 weeks, who has the better... Like, I'm going to play the best quarterback. Like, I don't want to play Daniel Jones this upcoming week. And I would rather play Bo Nix this week. So, 1 game sample size, I know I would keep Bo Nix and drop Goff. But after that, what does it look like between them? Is probably how I would look at things. Do you like BTJ? Colin Rutherford, do you like BTJ and J.K. Dobbins and receiving Emeka and Jordan Mason? I don't think I'm quite ready to pull that trigger. I'll keep BTJ and just hope for the best. Aaron Jones will still come back. Jordan Mason will go back to a shared backfield when that happens, and he doesn't really get any receiving work. So that's a short-time loan compared to J.K. Dobbins, who may or may not cede more work throughout the season. Definitely might. I don't personally like it, but I wouldn't look at it and be like, oh my god, that's such a bad trade. Also, Bowers for Jake Ferguson? I would not trade Bowers for Jake Ferguson, no. Swavey JP, trade Trey Benson and Devonta Smith for Monra, 12-team PPR. Yeah, sure. I would rather have Monra than Trey Benson, and Devonta's just kind of getting, like, he's more valuable than just getting tossed in there, but you're upgrading Devonta Smith. So if you have the ability to trade away Trey Benson because your running back room is really strong, I would do that. Also, could offer Trey Benson and Keon Coleman. I probably would rather offer Benson and Coleman. I don't know if that'll get you a Monra, though. So I would probably just send Benson and Devonta Smith and close my eyes and hope that they accept it. And if not, you might be fine holding on to those two, anyways. At Nick PPR, Ferg is going to feast as long as Lamb is out. Yeah, I wouldn't be prepared to trade away Bowers for him, though. Bowers or Ferguson? I don't know, was that a rankings question? I don't know what that was. Rest of season question? Once again, I'd still go Bowers. Rest of season, currently still have him ranked ahead of Ferguson this week. I do believe. Yeah, I don't think I moved Bowers down yet. Very close, but going against Chicago, like that. Swavey JP. Trade Trey Benson. We answered that. Sorry, we were past Swavey. So there we go. Arjun. Oh boy, I don't want to mess up your name, Mr. Parashar. Is it Parashar like that? Parashar. Hey, I got a question. I am 2-1 in a 12-man league. My wide receivers are Lamb, Wilson, Marvin, DJ Moore, Higgins, and Mims. Oh, boy. My running backs are Achane, JCM, and Mason. I got offered to trade Achane for Walker and Jamison Williams? I wouldn't trade Achane for Walker and Jamison Williams. I don't know that Walker and Jamison Williams combined in any single week to score as many as Achane alone so far this season. No, I don't think I would do that. I want Achane. He's the best man of the group, and Walker's in some sort of weird split with Charbonnet. I don't even know if Walker's the RB1 there for sure. And Jamison Williams, he's not been getting targeted a whole lot. Yeah, unfortunately, your wide receivers either didn't work out like hoped, got an injury to themselves, or a quarterback got injured. Felt much better about that wide receiver room going in. Is that... you got Lamb, Wilson, Marvin. So Wilson's in there too. You're holding on even through the injuries. You can get by. DJ Moore might have a good week. T. Higgins might have a good week. Never know. Wilson. And then you got Mason and Achane for now. Nah. I would not give away Achane for that. And I need I need RB2 and flex. Okay, Kamara, Benson, Golden, Chase Brown, McLaurin if healthy. So I'm currently not ranking McLaurin. Benson, I'll probably have Kamara ranked ahead of Golden. And I have them both ranked ahead of Chase Brown. I do think that Golden could be in line for a big week. But I don't know if I want to take that gamble compared to what I can get from Kamara. You're very welcome, Swavey JP. Thank you very much for stopping on in. Don't forget to like the stream, guys. It's very much appreciated. Brad McCoy, welcome to 0-3 World here with CD and Rice. What should I target with either or both? Oh, boy. Brad McCoy, I guess you need a wide receiver to send an offer to a wide receiver heavy team and hope for something good to come your way. Yeah, I mean, that's, you got to find the right target first, I think. The wide receiver heavy team. You could add Torrey Horton onto your roster as a long term, but you don't need long term. You need short term. You could add Alec Iomenter for short term. Darnell Mooney, I think, is somebody he's been getting targeted a lot. Christian Kirk got targeted a lot there in week 1 and offers somebody to get the ball out to quickly for CJ Stroud, which he needs with that offensive line. So, like, if you were to give up CeeDee Lamb and Rashee Rice, you should be able to get something really good, but I don't... Could you get a Monroe St. Brown for the two of them if you need the wins now, right? A Monroe St. Brown. A JSN. I mean, I would be aiming big, but I don't think you're going to get JSN for them. Like, those people don't want to start losing games unless they're really doing well. But right now, they're thinking at best, they're going to be without either of them for 3 weeks. You could target Nico Collins. You're going to have to take a risk like that on somebody who hasn't been good, a Brian Thomas Jr., which I would much rather target Nico Collins than Brian Thomas Jr. Maybe the Malik Neighbors owner is concerned about everything. You could target Malik Neighbors. I mean, CD's going to be back. I don't want to I'm not trying to sell way low on this or anything. Yeah, AJ Brown owner might think that they can get rid of him for cheap. I mean, because you're looking for wins now. But, really you got to find the wide receiver heavy team. And then, once again, I ain't trying to sell for too cheap. But if you need wins, you might have to sell for cheaper than you want by a little ways. But I wouldn't get too, I'd be trying to look for that. Normally, wide receiver heavy teams need running backs, so it depends also on your running backs. Yeah, that's the other thing. Is you're trying to trade 2 wide receivers to a wide receiver heavy team. That makes it funky, so you gotta probably throw in a running back there, and then it's just gonna get really complex, in which case I can't really just help you blindly here. But yeah, What Kind of World's giving you good advice, giving you some names of guys wide receiver wise I would want to get. But yeah, you probably need to go those 2 and a running back. Go upgrade your wide receiver, downgrade that running back. Or just upgrade the wide receiver and don't include Rashee Rice. Patty. What's up, Patty? How have you been? Full PPR, start 2, running back, and flex. All right, guys. Once again, more of a waiver wire trade show. I'm here Thursdays and Sunday mornings for these types of questions, but it's okay. It's okay. I'll still... I guess just ask them because I'm still going to answer them probably. Full PPR, start 2 running backs and a flex. Jordan Mason, Breece Hall, Kyron Williams, Rome Odunze, Emeka Sutton. 2 running backs and a flex. Jordan Mason, how do I have those currently? See, then there's people like you that just have too many options. I know how that goes. So I got Breece, Kyron, Jordan. So I got Kyron, Breece. Jordan Mason over Sutton, Roma Dunze. Probably, and Jordan Mason. Sutton against Cincinnati. So Jordan Mason for the floor, Cortland Sutton for the ceiling, maybe, depending on which one you want. I'm not going to bother with... let me make sure. Yeah, I'm still going Sutton over Roma Dunze this week. Is that true? No. I got Roma Dunze going against Las Vegas. So never mind about Sutton. It's Rome. And going against Vegas, I'll probably take that shot on Rome's ceiling. But if the team that you're playing against is one of those teams that lost CeeDee Lamb, maybe they also lost Joe Burrow, and maybe they also stacked Burrow with Jamar Chase or something, or T. Higgins. If you're playing a team that's been kind of decimated, maybe you just take the floor, play the 3 running backs. Otherwise, I'll take that ceiling of Roma Dunze probably over Jordan Mason, I guess, was the lowest running back I had. Full PPR, especially true for Breece Hall and Kyren Williams in full PPR. And actually, yes, full PPR, I'll go Rome over Jordan Mason then. Brad McCoy, other wide receivers are Ladd, Garrett, J-Mo, Hollywood. My running backs, Kyren, Breece, ETN, Benson. I'm fine with selling one of them for 2 pieces. It's a double flex league. Yeah, so that was the wide receiver. Yeah, I mean, CeeDee Lamb and ETN for Nico Collins. Like, to a wide receiver heavy team who needs help at running back. Something like that. Maybe you'd have to give up Benson instead of ETN even. In which case it's starting to get costly, but you need wins now, so, you know, I get it. You can kind of get by with what you got. It's 2 flex. I mean, you could play Kyren, Breece, ETN, Benson, Ladd, and Garrett Wilson, and you still have a good lineup going out there. You're obviously missing your big punch, but hopefully, like a week like this, Ladd will come through for you. Garrett Wilson, I think, also my wide receiver 6 this week. I mean, I might just try to, you know, buck the odds and make it through instead of trade away those pieces, because if you can get through these injuries, then you're going to come out the other side looking really, really, really strong. So I wouldn't sell for too cheap. That's all I'm going to tell you there. Ben Rolla, what's up, Ben? How you doing today? Flipping Tyler Warren and Baker Mayfield for CeeDee Lamb in a 12-team Superflex. Thoughts? I have May and Dak and Fannin. Yeah, so you're obviously, you know, going for it there. I mean, I'd rather have CeeDee Lamb than Baker and Tyler Warren as long as we can get by with it. And with May and Dak, I think you're fine, you know, at least May for now, and Dak once that returns. So you're just going to be kind of reliant on May and not going to have that option to go to Baker for now. But, yeah, if you can get CeeDee Lamb for Tyler Warren and Baker Mayfield, I'd probably do it. Super flex. Oh, so you're going to have to play. That's why you have 3 quarterbacks. Super flex. If you're like 3-0, once again, Ben, this is one of those things. I mean, you're 2-1, 3-0. You could probably get away with doing it. If you're 0-3, I don't think I would do it. You're gonna need to win games now, so I wouldn't do it if I'm 0-3. That's for sure. Or 1-2, 2-1, 3-0. You could do it and try to come out the other end better. Nick, start 2, Breece Hall. Sure, you could do that. Breece Hall, Kamara, Scadaboo. I'm going to have, I think I still have Breece Hall, Kamara on that one. Yeah. Where the heck are you, Kamara? Pretty close there between Kamara and Scadaboo. Currently it's Breece Hall, Scadaboo, Kamara. Breece Hall for sure. Going against Miami. Hello, Kenny Say Trill. What up? South SCO 650. 14 team, half PPR. Quarterbacks are Stroud Fields. Wide receiver Puka, Collins. So you drafted near the end of your round. Ridley, Wicks. Oof. Running backs, Achane, Jalen Warren, Judkins, Harvey, Spears, Henry and Fannin, and at tight end. Who could I trade to upgrade at quarterback? Just traded away DK and Javonte for Collins. Nice. Upgrade at quarterback, so you're going to have to get rid of Fields probably to somebody who wants him. I don't know, I don't know that everybody wants him. You're not going to want to trade away to wide receiver. You're going to have to, I don't know how to do this. You're going to have to find somebody who wants Fields. So, I think you got to just ask your league, does anybody want Justin Fields? And then whoever wants him probably doesn't have a good quarterback for you. I don't know, man. Quarterback trades are tough. But I would look to do a Fields, and I guess you could you could get rid of Jalen Warren and Fields for a quarterback upgrade. That's probably what I would do, but yeah, you need quarterback. You can't get Jackson Smith. You can't get Jackson Dart or anything. Yeah, if you can't get Jackson Dart off the waivers, I think Warren is your best and maybe only asset to actually be able to upgrade quarterback there. I'm not getting rid of Achane for a quarterback upgrade. I'm not getting rid of Judkins for a quarterback upgrade. I don't think Harvey can help you much right now, unfortunately, or Spears. I don't think Fannin can, and I probably, since I have Henry, I probably don't want to just sit there and rely on Fannin and move away from that. And I don't know that you could get much for Henry either, really. And I'm not getting rid of Puka or Collins there, and Ridley and Wicks have like no trade value right now. John Bowe, hey Forge, got hit with that Mike Evans injury, but at least I have Pickens for this week. Hopefully he does well. Pick one running back and one flex. Debo, Judkins, Pollard, or Chubb. No Chubb. Judkins, I have ahead of Pollard. I don't mind Pollard necessarily this week, but I do love Debo. So I'm going to go with Debo and Judkins there. Kenny Stay Trill got that question. 12-team tight end premium. You got Mahomes, Bijan, Warren, Kelsey, Wilson, Hill, Debo, Keenan Allen, Bench, Fergie, Goddard, Ollie, and Travis Hunter. Should I trade Tyreek Hill or Debo in a package with a tight end? Well, you have Jalen Warren. I don't care to ever play two tight ends. I assume you don't have to play two tight ends. I know premium, I guess, brings that closer. Tyreek Hill or Debo. So basically you're asking, should you trade Travis Kelce and Hill or Debo? Okay, what are your wide receivers? Wilson, Hill, Debo, Keenan Allen. Okay. I would probably trade Debo still ahead of Hill. I go Debo, Kelce. But I don't think you can get any of the guys that matter. Like, who's worth trading for? Those are the two I would trade. Because I guess you could risk just getting rid of Tyreek Hill if you wanted for, like, Trey McBride. Maybe they would accept that. Honestly, I mean, McBride's, like, the only one I want to target. My cat's... Hold up. I'll be right back. My cats are crying. What's it? Yeah, so can you say Trail? Little, I don't know exactly. I've never played tight end premium. I'm in a tight end half point for first down premium, and it doesn't seem to, that's different than how your premium works, I'm sure. So, I would rather get rid of Debo, but I feel like in order to actually get a wide tight end that's significantly better than Travis Kelce, there's only a few, and that might take Tyreek Hill, which might be a little expensive. I'm 3-0, and Bijan and Jalen Warren have the same bye week. I don't mind having guys on bye weeks. That's what you got your depth for. You also got Goddard. Goddard and Tyreek, maybe that would be a little more palatable if you could get a Trey McBride for that or something. But Trey McBride is definitely the target. Jorge, Senor TD, what up? Got a trade offer, give up Garrett Wilson for Brian Thomas Jr. Not sure I should do it. I don't think I'd do it, honestly. Like, if it was the other way around, I don't think I would offer the trade, but I don't think I'd accept it. I just thinking, I don't think I would accept it. I had concerns about BTJ coming into the year, and they're the exact issues. And so I just don't know. I'm not like thinking there's a real high chance that that gets better. Manuel Silva, what's up? Which trade would you do? Bucky Irving and Tyreek Hill for Brees and Bowers. I don't think I would do that. I have Johnson to replace Hill. Okay. I don't think Johnston is a replacement for Hill, but I realize what they've done so far this season. Or the other big trade is Bucky for JSN. Yes, but I only got RJ Harvey to replace Bucky. Ugh. Well, you probably can't do that then. So I guess I would do the first one. If I got to pick one of them, I would do the first one because I don't think that the difference between Bucky and JSN is equal to the difference between Bucky and RJ Harvey. And I'm guessing, with Tyreek Hill and everything, that you'll be sitting somebody, a better wide receiver than RJ Harvey being in there. Like, no thanks on that. So I'll take the first one if I got to do one of them. I don't know that I would do the first one myself. Infinite Pilot got offered Derrick Henry, Brees Hall, and Pittman for Jacobs and Chua Hubbard. I'd probably do that. I would probably do that, Infinite Pilot. Just because I'm not the biggest believer in Chuba. But also, I don't know. All right, so Brees Hall for Josh Jacobs, not quite. Full PPR, though. If this is full PPR, I probably would. Pittman, Derrick Henry over Chuba Hubbard, still a yes. And then you get Pittman on top of that. So it kind of might come down to like who you got to drop to put Pittman on your roster. If I'm dropping someone that's a wide receiver 3 to put Pittman on my roster, then I don't really need Pittman, and I don't think I would sell Josh Jacobs and Chuba Hubbard for Derrick Henry and Brees Hall straight up. But that's pretty close. So generally speaking, I'm probably going to take that trade and then cross my fingers. You're welcome, John Bo. Also not sure if I should start Hunter Henry or Andrews this week. Probably Hunter Henry. Most likely at tight end, Isaiah will likely be back this week. Speaking of tight ends, we got some tight end waiver wires on the screen there. Miriam Kim dropped one. Fannin, Goddard, Ferguson. Probably got to drop Fannin. I would drop Goddard. I would drop Fannin. J Hang 20. Hi, would you? Although Goddard would probably get injured again this year at some point. Hi, how would you trade Brian Thomas Jr., Josh Jacobs, and Hunter for Monroe, Judkins, and Scadaboo? Yes, I would rather have a Monroe, Judkins, and Scadaboo than BTJ, Josh Jacobs, and Hunter. Yeah. Yep. J Hang, I would do that. Jacob Hazen, I traded MHJ and Swift for Brian Thomas Jr. and Charbonnet. Win? It could be. Definitely could be. Generally, I'm going to say yes. Miriam Kim, I'm 0 and 3. What are some changes trades should I do? You've got May, Dak, Neighbors, Jigba. Well, I'll tell you, a change already occurred. Neighbors now has, I don't want to say a better quarterback, but probably a more fantasy-friendly quarterback throwing to him. And it'll probably be a more fantasy-friendly operating system offense also with him at the helm. And Jigba, obviously doing great there. Ashton Genty, we can only hope gets better. I don't want to sell him at this point for what you could get for him probably. Walker, Ferguson, Jameson Williams, Benson. There's another change that just happened. Benson just became his starting running back. Ridley, Diggs. Well, you could drop Ridley and or Diggs for, some waiver wire type wide receivers. I'm not guaranteeing that they'll be better, but Darnell Mooney, Alec Iomanner, Christian Kirk, Troy Franklin even. at least over maybe Diggs-ish. I mean, who knows? Maybe Diggs will do better someday. Or somebody who I like, Torrey Horton, which I think as long as you're not relying on Diggs and Ridley, if you don't have to play a wide receiver in the short term, I like taking a chance on Torrey Horton as a guy who could have league-winning upside near the end of the season. As a, obviously with JSN there, I mean, it's not going to be like a 30-point type guy, but like there could be a game that actually makes him a league winner because he scores 30 points down the stretch in a game. I really like him as a talent, and I think that they're, Cooper Kupp's probably not going to get any better as the season goes along. Torrey Horton could. So I like him as a dart to throw there. Also, Spears is on IR. There's another change that's happening to your roster. I don't really think that you need to hold on to Ferguson and Goddard. You can, but if you just want to bring in some more depth for your wide receiver room, essentially, and change that up, those were the top names, in my opinion, right now, for now and or into the future. Alec Imanor, too, is somebody who can grow, and that offense can get better as the season goes along. It's a young quarterback who looks okay. He looks okay. So hopefully things will get better there. Manuel Silva, would you trade for an alpha wide receiver 1? Okay, you got May, Bijan, Bucky, Adams, Tyreek, McMillan, Fanning, and you got DJ Moore and Johnson on the bench. 2 wide receiver league with a flex, full PPR. I mean, if you could get rid of that, you got short benches, huh? So there's always going to be, if you could do, McMillan and DJ Moore for somebody who's just desperately trying to get rid of BTJ or something, you could take that risk. But once again, I don't really love the BTJ risk. But Nico Collins owners are selling Nico. You could probably buy Justin Jefferson. I don't know that he's going to be better than McMillan. I mean, he probably will be, but I don't know. I don't know that that's like some guarantee. You could buy Drake London. Drake London owners are trying to sell. That's probably the one I would go for. Like McMillan, DJ Moore for London. See if it lands. I don't know. That's what I trade for an alpha. If you can get an alpha wide receiver, but I don't really care to trade away Adams. You could do Tyreek Hill and DJ Moore. I don't really want to get rid of both Tyreek and McMillan to make it happen, though, because they both have pretty high-end upside that, could be... I mean, Tyreek's not an alpha, obviously, week in and week out, and McMillan probably won't be in that offense. So you could trade the 2 for 1. But if you're trading those 2 for 1, then I want a sure thing. A Malik Neighbors feels hopefully like a sure thing. I don't even know how much of a sure thing, but I would say is a step up from Tyreek Hill. But that's, starting to get thin then too. I just sent Genty, Kamara, Quentin Johnson for Saquon. I think I want it. Yeah, I mean, you're giving up a lot, but as long as you're healthy enough, you have enough running backs and all that good stuff. Quentin Johnston, I think, is kind of a throw-in. But, yeah, I mean, for now, as long as there's, as long as you don't find yourself in a pinch where you can't play a running back because Saquon gets injured or something and then you killed your death. It's early in the season, plenty of injuries yet to occur. So, do I think you want it? Generally speaking, if somebody sent me that trade offer, I feel like I would probably take Saquon. But it probably does depend on the rest of the roster there. I have JT and Quinshon Judkins and Dobbins. I think I should have mentioned that. Yeah, that helps. You had too many running backs, so there you go. All right, that's better. Dirks, I'm debating on if I should start Tet or Pickens for week 4, full PPR and a must-win. I've got... Who's Carolina playing? Yeah, I've got Tet a little ways. They're going against New England. I've got Tet over George Pickens. Green Bay's defense is pretty darn good, and they can pretty much bracket Pickens and probably take him out of this game. So I'm a little worried about Pickens this week. I think I might have replaced him. I had him in the starting spot. I might have been able to get somebody else over him. Drop Ridley or Iomanner. Probably Ridley. Ben, I hate that, and I don't know that that's correct. But probably Ridley. How do I get a team review? I guess I'm just doing them. Just shoot the team on out here. And maybe somebody else will give you a comment too on it. Mill Simmer. I got Drake May at quarterback right now and Rasheed on the bench. Should I try to buy Mahomes? What do you think his price is right now? I don't know. I'd rather Drake May than Mahomes, personally. So, I don't... I guess the question is, should I try to buy Mahomes? And I don't think so. The cost for a quarterback really depends on what the heck your team looks like. Generally speaking, I don't really care to trade for quarterbacks. I mean, if we're looking at wide receivers, like, who would I... like Jameson Williams for him or something, like, okay, we got a good wide receiver room. We can get rid of somebody. But otherwise, like, I think it's where it's like they're probably not going to accept it. Like, these are kind of the guys that I would rather trade away. But yeah, Jameson Williams, probably not going to give up MHJ for that yet. I'd just stick with Drake May. Dirks. Okay, thank you for the love helping each other out in the comments. Miriam Kim, I'm thinking I can trade Fannin and Ridley for maybe another running back or a solid wide receiver. Any players I could trade Ridley and Fannin for? I don't think so. Ridley and Fannin. Now, I say things from my point of view. I see trades happen that are like, I can't believe that happened. So you never know. Zach Charbonnet? Could you do a Zach Charbonnet for Ridley and Fannin? I don't think so, but if you could get Zach Charbonnet, that'd be good. If you could get Ramondre Stevenson, I'd be good with that. JCM, I'd be good with that. Nick Chubb, but I'd still be good with that. Travion Henderson owners, some of them are ready to just cut him loose. So maybe you could get one of like those guys. Otherwise, I mean, Bashaw Tootin might be worth it. If you could get Bashaw Tootin. RJ Harvey. I mean, just take a shot on RJ Harvey. See if you can't get something from that down the road. If you can get anything for him, that's enough. I mean, Isaiah Pacheco, and just not hope, but in case Kareem Hunt gets injured, then he's going to be up, as a low-end flex to high-end RB2 option at that point, probably. So, yeah. You can't get much, but you're going to have to take a shot on something. So maybe you could get something like that from somebody. I have JT and Quinshon Judkins and Dobbins. Thought I should have mentioned that. Oh, yeah. Also, start sit Trey Benson, Quinshon Judkins, Ricky Pearsall. Oof. I don't have my flex rankings done yet. That was not Judkins. I would go Trey Benson and Ricky Pearsall. Someone offered Njigba, Walker, and Dak for Bijan, and I rejected it. Njigba? Yeah, I would probably still stick with Bijan, but I mean, Njigba for Bijan... Sorry, it's Bijan. I got used to saying Bijan now for Bijan Robinson. In case you're not aware, Bijan came out and said he actually does want it pronounced Bijan, not Bijan, which previously had corrected how it's pronounced to Bijan, but I guess that's just like the correct way, but not how he wants it pronounced. I think W on the rejection, I'd say, generally speaking. But it's pretty close. It depends the rest of your roster. If you're 0-3 and you need an RB2, then getting Walker and Njigba for that RB2 spot's a win. And Dak will be back again someday. And even in bad matchups, I would still be willing to play him for now. I don't know how many bad matchups they have over the next. That's something I would look at before rejecting or making that trade. So it's not a big W. Not a big W. It depends the roster, what your roster looks like. Steven Pereira, who do I stream at quarterback this week? Fields, Gino, Mariota, Purdy. Guys, generally speaking, we want like trade questions, team questions, waiver questions in these shows on Thursdays, but I'm weak and I answer you anyways. I have Fields quite a ways up there. I don't know that he's for sure going to play. I like Brock Purdy as a must start, so I would go with Brock Purdy over the bunch. I don't mind. I like Fields this week if he plays. There was a report out there that he might not. And I like Geno too against Chicago, of course. But I go Purdy. I trust in Purdy. And I don't believe that Jacksonville defense is as good as it's been so far. Really isn't much at the warm-up, but maybe a tight end needy team. Yeah, exactly. Miriam Kim, you're very welcome. Thank you for thanking me. I appreciate you. You can thank me by also thanking me, but you can thank me by liking the stream. That always helps. Steven Pereira, hey, what kind of world? I love it. Thank you for helping people, giving your input. Kanan, is starting Monty over Higgins in a PPR league valid? Probably. I do see a path for Higgins to definitely have a better week. Now, does that mean it's a better week than Monty? I don't know, but I do see like a potential path for Jamar Chase to get all the attention, and maybe Higgins gets some more targets, and catches them, and maybe they're good. DX, rate my team. I hate rating teams, by the way, guys. 10 team PPR. You got Jordan Love and Jared Goff, so you can get by with that and get QB1 production easily, because Jordan Love on his own is probably a QB1 and Jared Goff's not too far behind. Running backs, James Cook, J.K. Dobbins, Chase Brown. So this looked better before, but nice job on picking up J.K. Dobbins in the draft. Wide receivers, Malik Neighbors, Justin Jefferson, A.J. Brown. Okay, yeah, 10-team league. So your running back room, because of the injury for Chase Brown, obviously is suffering and very thin. You need to invest in some running backs, because what happens with one injury and bye weeks, you're screwed. You might even be screwed for bye weeks already. I don't know if any of them have 2 bye weeks. So you might want to look for, especially in 10-team league, some running backs out there. Although also in a 10-team league, maybe you can just get away with picking up running backs off the waiver wire for any, those bye weeks. Malik Neighbors, Justin Jefferson, A.J. Brown, George Pickens, Tedero McMillan, and then you got Kraft and Hawkinson. So I think Hawkinson's expendable. I would probably feel safe enough just playing Kraft and getting what I get from him. It's not going to be amazing every week, because he does live off of not the highest targets, number of targets in the world. Okay, so your quarterbacks are what? Like a B then? Your running backs, unfortunately, are like, your RB1 is up there, but as a group, because of lack of depth, I'm going to go B- to C+, but leaning in the B- territories where you're hanging around a B, then your wide receivers are good. 10-team. They haven't always, it's been rough to start out. Obviously, the names feel better than what they are. But you have good depth there. It's probably an A- in that group. I'd say it's like a B+ team, probably. I'm going to go with a B+. I don't know. I don't know what that means. That's what I'm guessing. I'm going to go with a B+. It's pretty, it's a thumbs up. It's not 2, probably not. But part of the reason it's not 2 is, in part, not your fault with Chase Brown, and in part because those wide receivers have been a little bit lackluster. And in Justin Jefferson's case, I don't know how much better it gets. I have Marvin Harrison Jr., Higgins, and JSN. Do you think I have enough depth, or is Marvin Harrison Jr. and Higgins terrible, and should I try to get rid of them? I wouldn't mind trying to get rid of Marvin Harrison Jr. to somebody who might still have faith in him. And same with T. Higgins. If you can find a trade for MHJ, T. Higgins, I would like to do that. I don't want to sell him for nothing, obviously, but yeah, I wouldn't mind getting rid of him for an upgrade. An upgrade. I mean, obviously it has to be a fair trade, so you might have to take a risk with it. Would you trade Keenan and Charbonnet? Like if you could, by the way, Kanan, like if you could find somebody who's thin at wide receiver and has some of those names that people are disappointed in for wide receivers so far, outside of BTJ, I don't know that I would probably trade those two for BTJ. So like maybe you could trade those two for BTJ, you know, something like that. Take a shot at something. Maybe you're not missing out on a whole lot between them. Maybe you are. Maybe you know, those two end up doing better than whatever you get. But that's the type of risk I would probably take because yeah, I don't necessarily love relying on those guys, but I do think that like T. Higgins won't be as bad as he was last week, but obviously that is the floor now. Would you trade Keenan and Charbonnet for Tet and Pacheco? No. I don't think so. I don't think so. I get you want to upgrade the Tet there, though. I feel like Keenan's going to kind of do this all season long, maybe less, as many touchdowns as he's had early season. But I don't know that Tedero McMillan gets a whole lot of touchdowns. As we've seen, he hasn't, and Keenan definitely is on a better offense. No, I wouldn't do it. I keep Keenan and Charbonnet. Latrell Lamarca, full PPR. Do I start Lad? I think so. I think actually, I might have Sutton higher. Yeah, I've got Sutton ahead of Lad because it's going up against Cincinnati. So I've got Sutton there. I know the Bengals sounds like a great matchup, but I'm thinking they'll be up so much that how will they get up so much? They have to get up that much first. Teams don't start running almost very rarely. Is there a game script where a team starts running the clock out before like 8 minutes left in the game? Sometimes they might get a little bit conservative and be a little run heavy, but a lot of times when they do that, the defense kind of locks it down and it's 3 and outs, and it's not very good rushing yards anyways. And then the other team gets a chance, and then maybe that other team makes it a close game, and then they got to pass again just to try to extend the game. No, I would still go Cortland. I get it. I do try to think of those things too when I make my rankings. That's the whole reason why I have the spreads here and the implied point totals here. But I'll go for the touchdown first. And the spread is hardly different. The Los Angeles Chargers could do the same thing against the New York Giants. So with that logic anyways, there isn't much of a... Obviously, you might have a different opinion. Maybe you think that the Giants, under a first-time quarterback playing, are going to give the Chargers hell. I wouldn't bet on that, but maybe that's what you think. If that's what you think, okay. I mean, sure. I do like Ladd enough this week, but based on what he's done all year and everything, I'd go Cortland over the Bengals versus the Bengals myself. Lost CD, any wide receiver targets with my running backs? Okay, so you have, obviously, not Lamb for now. You didn't lose him all season. Tetaroa, Ridley, Coleman. I'm once again giving Coleman a shot this week. Running backs, is that Chase Brown? Fuck. Darn, sorry, I didn't mean to swear. Javonte, Mason, Aaron Jones is that? Benson, Tootin. So, I mean, I would try to trade Mason and then maybe Ridley to get like Mason, Ridley. Cortland Sutton, all of a sudden now everybody likes him. Maybe you could get a Ladd McConkey. I mean, that would be awesome. You probably can't. Ricky Pearsall. Maybe you could get Mason, Ridley for a Ricky Pearsall. That's probably a Keenan Allen. You probably don't want to trade for Mike Evans right now, right? That's the whole reason you're in this pickle. You would be selling low-ish on Mason, but Aaron Jones will be back. Sorry, I should see. So he's not going to have the same value all the time. So that's why he's the one that I would try to trade. Hey, look at that. What kind of world gave you a B+ as well? Yeah, so Patrick, that's about where I'm at on that. Probably Mason, and then, Ridley, and just try to upgrade there if you can. Ridley doesn't have too much value, but he's still got a little value. Drake or Dak rest of season? Probably Drake, but they're pretty darn close. Dirks, you're welcome. Quincy Jones, 8-man, 1 quarterback. Benson, Scadaboo, Caleb on waivers. 8-man, okay. I have Mahomes considering Caleb to snake him from competitor. I wouldn't mind Caleb over Mahomes, actually. Same for Benson. Can only drop Pollard, ETN, Judkins, Harvey. So obviously, 8-man, Harvey's going to be droppable. You probably can't drop the other 3. So I'll get rid of Harvey for... I mean, I would rather just get Benson myself. I would order it Benson, Caleb if you want, and then Scadaboo for my priority, and just go for all 3 of them over Harvey. Quincy Jones, because it's an 8-man, I like getting stashes with super high upside rather than playability now. But, like, Benson was the stash. You didn't have him. If you want the stash over the guys who are going to be playing for sure all season long, then just stick with Harvey. Quincy. But I think I would rather have Benson or Scadaboo for now and probably in the future. Harvey, Scadaboo, maybe end of season, maybe the last 6 games of the year or something, Harvey might be better. 5 of my players have a bye week on week 8. Am I cooked? I mean, week 8 you probably won't win, but maybe you will. You never know when somebody will have CeeDee Lamb in their lineup and the rest of their lineup doesn't do too well. It's okay. You're going to be stronger than everybody else throughout the rest of the time. It's okay to have a bunch of guys in one bye week. I actually prefer it. Tyson Sant. Drop Diggs for Burden, 12-man PPR. Luther Burden for Diggs. Yeah, you could. I'm not dying to get rid of Diggs. I'm not dying to get Burden. I'm not dying to drop Diggs. But Diggs is droppable. And Burden is stashable. You're welcome, Jacob. You're welcome, Kanan. Keenan, 17 touchdowns confirmed. Yeah, exactly. Stat 1. Chargers versus New York Giants. Texans. Start 1. Defense. Chargers. Texans. Bills. Lions. So I feel like... Texans gives you the best chance at like an interception, some sacks and stuff there. So that's probably the route I would go. I'm just going to look at what the current consensus is on those. Yeah, Texans second this week. Yeah. That's probably the route I would go. Drop Harvey in 8-team league from what kind of world? Yep. Quincy Jones. Okay. I love, once again, the back and forth. Do I trade Pickens for Judkins? Yeah, I would take Judkins over Pickens. I was not too impressed with what we saw once CeeDee Lamb went down for Pickens. Thank you. You're welcome, Latrell. I'm not an expert. Quincy, nobody's an expert. You're okay. Anton Montez. Some of us just look at stuff more than others, but there's so many factors that go into it that looking at stuff, as we know, hardly guarantees. Everybody's opinion in fantasy football is, I would say, valid, although there are some people who have bad opinions. But not all of their opinions are probably bad. I've got London, Shakir, Coleman. I think the one thing that like experts understand, I think, some things about the randomness and like how close things are in reality compared to, I think, the average fantasy football player. The things are more sure than they are. And I think that experts, people looking at these things all the time, also have a better, are less reactive to 1 week pop-offs, to, short-term trend types of things. I think that's just really the difference. But in terms of just having an opinion outside of like reacting to what happened last week only, everybody's is valid. I've got London, Shakir, Coleman, Godwin, Booty, and CeeDee. I love how everybody has to point out, like I wouldn't know that CeeDee's out at wide receiver. London, Shakir, Coleman, Godwin. Well, good time for maybe Godwin to come back. All right, so you're thin there. We've got to hope that London can get better with Hampton, Mason, Kamara, JCM, and Pollard. What receiver could Pollard and Shakir or Coleman possibly get me? So, and which one, you probably just send both the trades to the person so that they know, like, they can pick which one. So Pollard plus probably Shakir at this point holds more value in most people's eyes. I still think Coleman's the more higher upside, but I would say, let's say Pollard and Shakir, and you want a wide receiver, right? Yeah. So I'm going to start with, like, what could Pollard get us? And it's probably around Jalen Waddle, right? So you add Shakir to that, which, you know, currently... Let's actually go to rest of season rankings in here. Oops. Okay, so we're looking probably around here. Yeah, see, clear, because Cleo's got a good matchup this week. Yeah, I mean, Jacoby Myers, Jalen Waddle. I mean, Pollard. Can he and one of them get you better? I mean, you don't want Rashee Rice right now. Like, if you could get Keenan Allen, if you could get Ricky Pearsall, if you could get Tyreek Hill, that would be great. But I think more than likely what you're looking at is, like, if you believed in T. Higgins, you might be able to get T. Higgins for that for sure. So if that's a gamble you wanted to take, that would be a gamble I want to say worth taking, but I don't know how much I actually believe in that. But I also have T. Higgins and am currently mortified about what that might look like. You know, McLaurin's somebody you could probably buy, but he's currently injured. You don't want that. So I think you're looking at Jalen Waddle, Jacoby Myers. I think Jacoby Myers. That's who my, like, number one. I would go look at the Jacoby Myers team. See if I can't get that. I think Chris Olave, but you probably don't. You want probably something with a little bit more pop. So, yeah, I think Jacoby Myers still gets, like, a little underappreciated by most people. Once again, or Ricky Pearsall. Those are kind of the names I think that stand out as, like, potential. Otherwise, I mean, I think you're starting to look at, like, Chris Olave's, and then you got, like, no upside. Otherwise, you're looking at, like, otherwise you're just going to have to take a gamble on a DK Metcalf. Will he start to get more targets at some point or something like that? You could always take that kind of gamble. I think that's kind of what you're looking at. I don't think, you know, I don't think you're getting Rome Odunze. I don't think you're getting George Pickens. Maybe you could trade for him, but I don't think so, you know, so. That's what I got for you. Okay, trade Pollard for one of the struggling running backs. Travion, yeah. Harvey, probably not. Or someone like Benson or Scadaboo. I don't think you're going to get Benson or Scadaboo for Pollard, but I would be in on Benson. I don't know if I would do it for Scadaboo, but if you wanted, that might get accepted. So you could do that if you want to. Travion Henderson would be like the struggling running back that you could probably get. You almost certainly could get for Pollard right now. Establish the runs, rest of season rankings have Pickens significantly higher than Judkins, if it means anything. I was just looking at. Wasn't that I thought a question between Pickens and Judkins was who to start this week, I thought. Rest of season, I still think I'd like Judkins better, to be honest. But, I mean, it's not like by... Like, I feel like they're probably a little low on Judkins and maybe a little high on Pickens. Should I trade Gibbs for Mecca, Warren, and Scat? My other running backs. But once again, I mean, I get it. I think rest of season I would still probably... I don't know. I don't know if I would take... That's close. Should I trade Gibbs for Mecca, Warren, and Scat? Gibbs for Mecca? No. I wouldn't do it. My other running backs are Brees and Derrick Henry. And I need a wide receiver. Personally, I wouldn't do it. Parker. I think the experts, which I consider to be the social media influencers, just know more about football and the actual stats versus my surface. Yeah, that's what I was saying. Like, I mean, there are, like, differences, but when it comes to, like, the fantasy aspect of it, there's so many things that can and do go wrong every single week. It's impossible to predict. Yeah, ETN has such little competition. Bashal Tootin. Trey Benson, or not that I love Bashal Tootin, but he does have competition there. Kelsey, Trey Benson or Chase Brown this week? Trey Benson this week. If you pick Trey, Chase Brown, or Emeka Egbuka in the flex, I might have Chase Brown ahead of Emeka. I might. I don't know about that, though. And it kind of depends on... I don't even know if it does depend on Chris Godwin. I don't know if I'm going to end up doing that. I don't know. I haven't done my flex rankings yet, Kelsey. You're going to have to come back between Chase Brown and Emeka. But I will take Trey Benson for sure there. Pollard has been so bad. Running back 24. He's an RB2 on average per the season. And that's obviously like James Conner's completely gone now. He's been consistently fine. He scored half PPR. Week 1 stunk. 9.2 and 12.9. I mean, he's at that point, he's not losing you games. That is a top 24 performance and a top... that is a top 18 performance and an RB2 performance and a borderline RB2 to flex performance out of him. And a flex performance, actually. So far he's been a flex, a borderline RB2 to flex, and an RB2. So borderline flex RB2. Yeah, I mean, it could be better. For where you drafted him, it's been a little disappointing. I won't disagree with that. But been so bad, believe me, it can get worse. Breece Hall's been worse on the season. Derrick Henry's been worse on the season. He had to take him way higher. Marlon Hampton so far has been worse on the season. Had to take him higher. Of course, he's going to be better. Chase Brown's been worse on the season. Corey Cross-Merritt's been worse on the season. Some people drafted him pretty much just as high as Tony Pollard, maybe ahead of him. Ashton Genty's been worse on the season. He's a first-round pick. Travion Henderson's been worse on the season. People drafted him before. Zach Charbonnet, no, he was drafted probably after. But R.J. Harvey was drafted before. He's been worse. Isaiah Pacheco was drafted around maybe a little later than that. He's been worse, though. Brian Robinson Jr., once upon a time, he would have been drafted a little bit behind him. Actually, he was going kind of late. So, so bad or kind of just like a boring flex. I would go kind of a boring flex. Curious on your thoughts on possibly giving Tet for K9? I personally wouldn't do it. I would rather Tet. K9's got Charbonnet, and I personally, I don't know that K9's the starting running back there. I really don't know that yet. So I still need to know that for sure before I'm going to get too high up on K9, and I know that there is some sort of split there. K9's got like weekly upside a little bit higher than Tet, but I think Tet's much more consistent and has pretty high upside, especially in terms of like full PPR, half PPR. If it's standard, I would probably take K9. Kelsey, Justin Fields if healthy or Danny Dimes? I like Justin Fields if healthy. I'm concerned about Danny Dimes. I never see Danny Jones this week, but it's not like I wasn't concerned about him other weeks. So maybe I'm wrong. Nino Pena, I really need the depth help with having two flex two of Diggs, Alec, Harvey, Benson right now. So would you trade McBride for Sutton? Probably not. You got Benson. Benson's a must start. Alec's not like a terrible start. I think I would rather have McBride than Sutton rest the season myself. So I probably wouldn't do it. There are some, You could maybe go out there, find a Darnell Mooney that personally I do have ranked higher than Alec Imanner. I think this, maybe I don't know, close this week. Check out my rankings. Hold up, let me go quick. I'll check out for you, just in case. Yeah, maybe you could go, I have Trey Tucker ranked higher than him this week. I have Darnell Mooney ranked higher than him this week. I would rather drop Diggs and like pick up one of these guys. Christian Kirk I have ranked higher than him this week. Rashid Shaheed's probably out there and available. You could use Alec. I have him in the same tier. I don't mind him. Dontavian Wicks or Romeo Dobbs almost certainly are going to be available to pick up and use this week. So, any of those guys that I have highlighted there on the screen right now. If you want to take a shot on Tyquan Thornton, you could. But, I mean, I know it's not, the most pretty. But Trey McBride, I mean, it's close enough. You could do it. I'd rather just swing for a guy who I think has a good matchup this week or something, or play Alec Imanner. I am not trusting Fields anytime soon. Yeah, that's fine. Sit one, Benson, Pearsall, Scadaboo. I think I'm probably sitting Scadaboo out of the bunch, unfortunately. If Juwan Jennings is out, that's a for sure thing. I gotta make sure that I'm not forgetting, like, oh, I ranked Scadaboo really high, but I don't think I have him insanely high this week, unfortunately. No, at the end of that tier. Chargers is a good defense. Indiana Jones to the moon. Jake Ferguson or Hunter Henry? Jake Ferguson for sure right now. Last minute trade Josh Allen and which Chase? Chase Brown, Jamar Chase? Yeah. For Jaden Daniels, BTJ Genty. Oh, man. I think I'd rather Josh Allen and Chase. I mean, who knows? Jaden Daniels could go out there and retweak his knee and then be out for like a month or something. I think I'll stay with if it's Chase Brown. If it's Jamar Chase, is a no. Because Jamar Chase, BTJ, I think I still take Jamar Chase. If it's Chase Brown, see, the thing is I don't really know how much better it's going to get for BTJ. I mean, there will be weeks where it's better for sure, but I don't know that it's going to be much better than 2 bad weeks and 1 good week. Which so far it's 3 bad weeks essentially? 3 bad weeks and an okay week are we at? 2 bad weeks and an okay week. There's a good week coming. It'll happen. But I just don't know how much I can rely on that. Jamar Chase, I'm going to say no. Chase Brown, yeesh. If you believe in BTJ. Would you drop Kyler Murray for Sam Darnold? You could if you want to use Sam Darnold this week, although I still think I still have Kyler Murray ranked higher than him. Yeah, I've still got him ranked higher. But if you wanted to play Sam Darnold over Kyler Murray this week, you could. I wouldn't really suggest it, but you could. Won't be bad. It's not the most fantastic matchup there against Seattle. Pick 3, AJ Brown, Brian Thomas Jr. Okay, AJ Brown, Keenan Allen. If you need a bench running back, yeah, you could drop probably Troy Franklin for one of those running backs, for sure. BTJ, Keenan Allen, AJ Brown. Sorry, I know that's basic, but that's what you're going to get from me. Everybody was sitting AJ Brown, trying to sit AJ Brown last week. I sat here, told them to play him. A lot of people are trying to sit BTJ, but also told them to play him. So, but BTJ week coming at some point. Genty, Benson, or Tony Pollard in the flex. Pick one. I think I've got Benson at the front of that group right now. What was the other ones? Genty. Oh, no. I like, yeah, Genty's got Chicago this week. So it's kind of close, but I'll take the matchup for Genty this week. I will say if it's full PPR, I might take the shot on Benson, but it is taking a shot. No guarantees there. Caleb Williams or Justin Herbert this week, Ronaldo? I would take... I think it might be Justin. Yeah, I've got Justin one spot ahead of Caleb this week at New York Giants. I'll take Justin Herbert this week. You are welcome. You're welcome, Ronaldo, as well. And Kelsey, Cortland Sutton, Trey Benson, Jalen Warren, Trey Henderson. Pick one for the flex. Sutton. I think I'll have Sutton ahead of Trey Benson. I don't know that that's for sure thing. Haven't done my flex rankings. I'll have them for Thursday. So, as you know, Kelsey, come in. Give it a like. At least we got some of your answers, questions answered for sure. And then, there you go. All right, look at that. We caught up. So I'll finish looking at these waiver wire things, and then we'll head out of here. I'm happy with how successful these Thursday things have been. I'm very busy. So I appreciate you all for stopping on in. Even if I bitch about you not asking the types of questions that I want you to. Oh, well, you're keeping me busy. You're keeping the chat busy, so it's all good. But if we ever get to a day where I can't answer those questions, I apologize, but that's why. Is because I'm here Thursday and Sunday for those. So we do have a tie currently with 27 votes at Toy Story 2 and The Matrix. Fight Club in third. And, hey, The Blair Witch Project got in there with maybe 3 votes? Because 2 votes would be less than 10%. Yeah, 3 votes there for The Blair Witch Project as well. So, oh boy, if you have not voted yet... Trying to break that tie between Toy Story 2 and The Matrix. I really thought Fight Club would win this because Fight Club won on Sunday by so much. But you guys have, I don't want to call it better taste, but maybe more varied taste at least than that one did. Very nice stream, sir. May the force be with you as well with you. All right, so tight end waiver wires. Is there anything this week? Yeah, I mean Harold. So I think Brenton Strange is worth having as a guy. Chig's usage actually went down. I'll talk about that in the tight end video that comes out later this week on Thursday morning. I think Isaiah Likely is worth potentially having out there. He might become the tight end one there this year in a sense. The number one receiving tight end, definitely possible. And so they have K-Dot up here because of the injuries to Tampa Bay, but I don't like K-Dot this week. Nay. And we saw Mason Taylor actually get some targets with it not being Justin Fields, but I think Justin Fields is still the starter there. So that got us through those. And, I looked at this article. This is the PFF article for guys. They have Geno Smith at the top, followed by Jake Browning, Jackson Dart. I mean, personally, I don't love Jackson Dart for the short term, but if I don't absolutely need somebody to play at quarterback right now, I do want to get Jackson Dart on my bench. So, I have a team where I could kind of use Jackson Dart, but I don't want to use my waiver wire priority on it, so I'm not going to use it on him. But if he's still available in the morning, I'm going to go get him. Woody Marks, obviously, is a good backup to have. The door is open for him to potentially become the RB1 or, the 1B. It's pretty close to the 1B already. Chris Rodriguez, I don't know what to think about him. Taj Brooks, if there's an injury there, he's kind of the guy to pick it up. Blake Corum, I think I would like better than those guys outside of Woody Marks. We went through these earlier. Keaton Mitchell, obviously deep stash guys. Keaton Mitchell, Kendra Miller's another guy. He'll go for a lot if there's an injury to Alvin Kamara, even on that team. Kyle Mananga, if there's an injury to DeAndre Swift, all those types of guys. Keaton Mitchell, I don't think has as much of a guaranteed role if Derrick Henry goes down. I do think they love and trust Justice Hill quite a bit. So I do think it would be a split, but he would be still the one to own by a little ways probably because of his explosiveness. But Justice Hill, with his receiving work, might not be so bad either. Ty Johnson, I don't know why we put Ty Johnson on this list. So they think Luther Burden definitely worth going out for. I'm a little less, high up on that. I think Olamide Zaccheaus is probably not going to give up his role completely all season long. The snaps will probably get closer, and it might even flip. But you see what Olamide Zaccheaus does with that. It's kind of a every now and then it's going to pop, but trying to predict the week that role is going to pop in this offense, I don't think is very good. So even with more usage for Luther, I just that's why I didn't like him. I think he's a little bit of a trick kind of player, which we'll get. We saw it last week. Like there will be plays drawn up for him. Alec, something that could grow. Trey Tucker, something that's got to find floor-ish kind of deal, probably. Jalen Coker is somebody you could go out. We know how much the slot receiver means to Bryce Young, and he's going to bring in more than what Hunter Renfrow is bringing. Parker Washington has been getting a lot of targets. Definitely somebody you could just go put out there. Like there was somebody with a roster looking for potential wide receiver options this week. I'll get to those questions in just a moment, guys. And so he is somebody you could use in that kind of situation. All right. Dom V, is Saquon Barkley for George Pickens and Josh Jacobs a bad trade? Probably not. It might end up being a bad trade. You're saying you're going to get George Pickens. So I would slightly prefer Saquon Barkley to George Pickens and Josh Jacobs, but not by much. Not by much. I don't think it's a bad trade. If I wanted to trade for Justin Jefferson for a running back one, who should you... Oh, see, I don't have a good opinion of Justin Jefferson, so, the names that I'm going to say would be lower. But who do I think you might be able to get? I think, Ashton Genty would be the kind of target. Now, I know you're trading a guy who hasn't, has been not what you've wanted for a guy who hasn't been what they wanted at this point. So you're taking a risk, of course. But I do think Ashton Genty could be an option. That's pretty horse apiece there, in my opinion, though. Maybe you could get... I'm looking at the names higher. Maybe you could get Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry owner might be very disappointed at that, especially if that's full PPR. You could probably get Derrick Henry, but half PPR, maybe you could get Derrick Henry. Otherwise, I might be willing to take the gamble on Ken Walker for Justin Jefferson. I don't think I would. I wouldn't for ETN. Kyron Williams owners might be afraid. There's a small chance that they're afraid of Blake Corum enough that you might be able to get... I would probably do that for Justin Jefferson, Kyron Williams. Breece Hall you might be able to get. Breece Hall I've seen mentioned here. People are willing to move him. You probably don't want to trade him for Chase Brown. I think we're at the end of the rope of what you would be willing to... So, I feel like you're... Kyron Williams, Ashton Genty, Derrick Henry. I feel like those are kind of where maybe you can make that happen if you like any of those names. I don't know. What's up? Just lost CD. Yeah, me too. I also have Chase Brown. Yeah, me too. And I'm 1-2. Yeah, me too. Needed 8 points from CD. I just needed Rashad Bateman not to score more than 13 points, which he rarely ever does. He did it. Do you think I should move off Hurts for an upgraded Jalen Hurts? Wait, so you would... Brandon, I'm confused what you're doing here. Do I think I should move off of Hurts for an upgraded flex and get Caleb? Debo plus Pollard. It depends what the upgrade is. I don't know what Debo plus Pollard means. I don't know what you're upgrading from. Hurts plus Debo or Pollard for someone else. And you get Caleb. You could. Caleb's been pretty fantastic so far for fantasy purposes. I don't know that it'll be like that all year. I don't know that I don't expect him to be as good as he's been season long, but you could. It's obviously a bit of a downgrade, but so rest of season, playoffs, the only thing, go look at the schedule for Caleb Williams. playoff schedule. You're 1-2 though, so you're trying to upgrade for now. Just go look at the Caleb Williams schedule. Make sure it's not freaky bad. But he brings some rushing upside and everything too. I would no Dirks do Jacobs. Hold up, what's that in? Okay, Ryan Tampa. Should I be trying to trade off Neighbors? I don't think so. The schedule is brutal. On top of it is. I think it just everything got better. So, any trade ideas? You just have to find somebody who wants Neighbors bad, because I'm not selling low on Neighbors. With Jackson Dart coming in. Maybe you could trade it for Justin Jefferson if you like Justin Jefferson more. Drake London if you like Drake London more. I don't think I would trade him for Cortland Sutton. I wouldn't trade him for Brian Thomas Jr. myself, but that's somebody maybe you could... Almost certainly you could pull that trade off. I can guarantee that. What, do you want to trade him for Ladd McConkey? I mean, that you could do. You get accepted. I don't know that you want to do that, but that's somebody else you could have some high upside. Maybe you could get Zay Flowers for him if you believe in that. Tedrow McMillan, I just don't think has enough touchdown. It's not a better situation, really. Jamar Chase, maybe you could get that sideways trade going. I don't know. Those are kind of the names that, like, it might happen, that actually might be worth it, whether you're taking a gamble or because the other person doesn't like him, you know. This guy, J.R. Smiles, just traded Pickens and Judkins for Jaden Daniels and Devonta Smith. Did I win? I don't love it. But it might not hurt you. Because of Jaden Daniels. I don't think Devonta Smith's going to help you much. So, to me, I mean, you basically... Well, okay. I don't think Pickens is going to be as good as I was hoping he might be. Especially with, like, this opportunity he has with CeeDee Lamb out. I don't think it's going to go as well as it could. I don't think there's a winner or a loser, I guess. I think it's pretty fair. Do you think I should sit Chase Brown? Quite possibly. Quite possibly. Mind you, my only option... nope, I would not sit him for Wandale or Trey Tucker. Nope, I wouldn't do that. I'm also 1-2. Well, yeah. It sucks to have Chase Brown these days. I have him. I'm not making fun of you. Would you do Jacobs? DRX... If you want to trade... yeah, I would take Jacobs for him. Kelsey, Walker, Alvin Kamara, J.K. Dobbins. I like J.K. Dobbins quite a bit this week. I got J.K. Dobbins one spot behind K9. Was he one of those three? So... I might flip that. I almost did at the time. I might flip that because I'm going to have to choose on Thursday. Because I do think Zach Charbonnet eats into that crap. So... And then it's against Cincinnati. You know what? I'm going to say I like Dobbins more than Ken Walker this week. And Kamara, I do have a lower. All the way down there against Buffalo. So I guess I would take J.K. Dobbins. I'll take that floor. If it's full PPR, then maybe you take the shot at Alvin Kamara. But I don't know. J.K. Dobbins. Everyone in my fantasy is vetoed because they're saying George Pickens, Josh Jacobs for Saquon is not fair. I can't help you. You got a lame league that vetoes stuff. Trades shouldn't really be vetoed unless they're absolutely egregious, and that ain't egregious. I mean, I think... Is it me or is Josh Jacobs... So Saquon Barkley's the RB16 on the season via my rankings. Well, it's tied in a group. I mean, he's basically been an RB2 so far on the season. Josh Jacobs, where are you? Just I have them as equal. I have Jacobs and Saquon so far in the season having performed equally. I don't know exactly where their actual fantasy points lies. I don't have that. That's easy to find. But they've done about the same. Are they saying that it's too much? George Pickens and Josh Jacobs for Saquon? Because that, I mean, I guess I could see them thinking that. But are they saying that it's not enough? Because that's stupid. Yeah, I meant like downgraded quarterback to... Okay, we got that. No PPR, Henderson or Swift? Swift. So something like Hurts plus Debo, Pollard for someone else. Now, I say that for Swift, and maybe non-PPR, maybe that does get closer than I think it should. That might be the case. So something like Hurts plus Debo / Pollard for someone else. We finished that discussion, right? I talked about that. Or just ride Hurts. I don't mind just riding Hurts. Is that trade of Vito, Pickens, and Jacobs for Barkley? Yeah, Dom. I mean, I don't think so. The first rounder, should I trade Chase, Nix, and Smith for Dunze, Daniels, Montgomery, and JMO? I assume that's Jamar Chase. If it's not Jamar Chase, let me know. JR Smiles, you're very welcome. I'm glad that you're liking it. I guess we can just keep the rest of the season here up. Just bring it down there. This is, by the way, on Fantasy Pros. I believe this stuff is free. It might be behind the paywall. I do pay them monies. Okay, so Jamar Chase, Bo Nix, and Devonta Smith. So, okay, I'll take Odunze over Devonta Smith all day. I'll take Jaden Daniels over Nix all day. Okay, actually, let's just cross out Jamison Williams and Devonta Smith. I view them pretty equally. Daniels over Nix by pretty far. Odunze and Montgomery over Chase rest of the season? Sure. So, yeah. I'd go for it. Awesome. Look at that. All right. So we do have a winner here. The Matrix with 33 votes. We're going to end the poll because I'm going to pull on out of here 2 hours. I really wish these were like 1 hour, but I also am very, very happy that they're not because you guys are keeping me busy with questions. Matthew Sano, you will hopefully be the last question. Probably be the last question. So the Matrix won with 37% of the vote. Toy Story 2, 30%. Fight Club, 24%. I thought that was going to be the favorite to win. And the Blair Witch Project, almost three of you. I love it. All right, Matthew Sano, 0-3 to start the season. I'm sharing some of that pain with you. Should I trade CeeDee Lamb and Ladd McConkey for Ibuka and I wouldn't. PPR. Other wide receivers are Wandale and T-Mac. I get it. I think Ladd McConkey... Well, I have Ladd McConkey ranked ahead of George Pickens this week. I think Ibuka might get shut down by Quinyon Mitchell. So I'm a little bit concerned about him, but not that I haven't been previously this year. Although, last week, actually, I was correct on that. Compared to experts' rankings on him. And George Pickens, I was a little bit disappointed about with how that they could vary up his usage or something, and maybe he'll get the CeeDee Lamb treatment. But, I mean, I was hoping for more in that game, regardless of CeeDee Lamb going down early on, immediately in the game. And then CeeDee Lamb goes down, and I'm thinking, okay, we got a George Pickens 2 to 3 touchdown game set up here, and it won like that. So I think George Pickens could actually get defense out if they just are going to kind of use him vertically and not much else. Just like what happened to Malik Neighbors last week. That's, of course, sometimes easier said than done, and that's, of course, not always what the defense tries to do. But I'm concerned about Pickens this week. Because it's not an easy matchup. No, I wouldn't do it. CeeDee Lamb's not gone forever. He'll come back. Waddle and T-Mac, I don't think Waddle's in the worst matchup this week. Hopefully I mean, last week was okay because of the touchdown, but like, hopefully, we could get a few more targets. That would help. And T-Mac gets the targets. The touchdowns are the big question mark for him. Andrew Burwell. So my Matthew, I'm not on board with it. But do what you got to do. If you feel like you got to do it. 0-3. I get the desperation. I get it. I really do. So I wouldn't blame you for just going ahead and doing it. Obviously, it could work out. Appreciate you, Matthew. I really do appreciate that. Start Waddle or Ridley Flex leaning Waddle? I think yes. Let me just pull up my rankings. These rankings are subject to change, but currently, I mean, it's not even very close. I have them a tier apart. Yeah. I go with Waddle. Ryan Tampa, I did. Let me see if I can't just give you a quick recap. Should I try trade off Neighbors? Oh, I did. I'd like you to try to rewind to find the answer. Because there isn't much of an answer that I had for you. I just kind of gave you a bunch of names for wide receivers. So what I was like is, generally speaking, my answer is no. But if you were trying to do just a wide receiver for wide receiver trade. Now, look, these are rest of season rankings. Malik Neighbors still third in these rankings. But if you're just not vibing, you're not feeling it, you got to get something for it. I think my lower end limit was like okay, maybe you could get Zay Flowers. You could get Rome Odunze if you really believed in those guys more than him. Garrett Wilson, you could probably get for that. I'm not doing any of these things. And you're not going to get Amon-Ra St. Brown for him, I don't think. You could do that. I wouldn't blame you for that. You could try that out. You could try Nico is one of the names that you could try. You could try Justin Jefferson, but I wouldn't do that. I definitely wouldn't do that. Nico Collins, okay. I see the argument. I would still maybe go Malik Neighbors over Nico, but that's pretty close. If you're not on board with Malik and you like Nico, there you go. You could get CeeDee Lamb for him, but I assume that's not what you want to do. You're not going to get JSN for him. Probably not, I don't think. But you could do that. That would be like, the good one to do, probably, at this point, it seems like. But you could probably get Drake London. You could get A.J. Brown, maybe for him, probably for him. And then, I wouldn't do it for Devontae Adams. And now, so now we're at I wouldn't do it. Lad McConkey, you could definitely get that done. And maybe it works long term, but then I wouldn't trade away Malik Neighbors myself. The Jackson Dart should help for you. Would you trade Neighbors for Bijan and JT? Yes. Yes. If you can get Bijan, I keep saying Bijan. If you can get Bijan and Jonathan Taylor for Malik Neighbors, that was a good trade before the season ever began. And Neighbors has obviously, struggled at this point. And JT's done better than where you drafted him for. And Bijan's been basically what you drafted him for. So, hell yeah. All right. That is going to be it. We're going to end the stream there. Thank you so very much, guys. I appreciate you. Welcome, new subscribers. I hope, I know the Neighbors thing. And then, you talk about running backs too. I mean, I would not sell low on Neighbors. Who would you prefer? I prefer Bijan. Oh. I think I would prefer Bijan Robinson. He catches enough balls and everything that's good. For sure, full PPR Bijan Robinson. Standard scoring, I might take the chance on JT for probably more touchdowns than Bijan season long. Half PPR, I think I'll stick with Bijan there. That was a good trade even after Neighbors Week 2. Yeah, even after the Week 2 Neighbors. Exactly, Ryan. You got it. It's always a good trade, but that's not the trade though. it was an or question, not an and question. Would I trade Neighbors for Bijan? So I would not trade Neighbors for JT. I would trade Neighbors for Bijan, and the difference between Bijan and JT, I had to think about that, right? So it's close. And I wouldn't just go out and trade Neighbors for Bijan for no reason, but if you want to get rid of Neighbors, I don't think the Bijan owner is going to take that, actually, but you could try. And I don't think I would do it for JT. But you could. You could. All right. You're welcome, guys. You're welcome. Thank you very much for tuning on in. I appreciate you. I'll be back Thursday evening, 1.5 hours, or maybe closer to 1 hour 15 to an hour prior to kickoff, and then 3 hours prior to kickoff Sunday morning. And I might go Saturday evening as well for a little bit because there's an early Sunday morning game. All right. Peace out. Unless that game's between two teams that the choices for fantasy football are incredibly obvious. All right. Peace out. Jackson Dart season, baby. That's it. That's all I got.